When words fade into silence, a timeless truth comes to light. It's a whisper, not meant for your mind, but for your soul. This book invites you to listen to that whisper and tap into the powerful transformation that's always been inside you. Inspired by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky's The Voice of the Silence, a masterpiece from 1889, it brings ancient Eastern wisdom into today's world. Far from just an old book, Blavatsky's teachings still resonate deeply, offering insights into the human spirit and our connection to the universe. Blavatsky, a key figure in the Theosophical Society, spent her life uncovering the mysteries that bind spiritual traditions across different cultures. Her writings pull from ancient Tibetan wisdom, urging us to quiet the noise around us and listen to the voice within, a voice that holds the key to deeper understanding and spiritual awakening. In these pages, you won't just find a retelling of her ideas. Instead, you'll start a personal and transformative journey, reimagined for today's seekers. Each chapter acts as a guiding light, filled with reflections, vivid metaphors, and thought-provoking questions that encourage you to introspect. It's a roadmap to help you tackle life's complexities with clarity, resilience, and a deeper perspective. This book is more than just philosophy. It's an urgent call to action, a call to pause, listen, and rediscover the inner light that's always flickered within you, no matter how loud or dark the world becomes. As you turn these pages, may you find not just inspiration, but the tools to turn your everyday struggles into steps toward the eternal truth that whispers in silence. Like dreams yet to be dreamed, the night felt alive, sharing secrets that only the brave could sense. I remember sitting beneath an ancient tree, its rough bark against my back, when I first felt it. Not a question in words, but a presence, a pulse. Who am I really? It wasn't a shout or a faint whisper. It was something deeper, like the wind against your skin or a melody you can't quite recall but instinctively recognize. Is this all I am? That night was the start of my awakening, even if I didn't realize it yet. For years I had been sleepwalking, not the restful kind, but a fog that shrouded my soul in routine. Fear and someone else's expectations had dimmed the light inside me. Have you ever felt that way? Like you were following a path that wasn't really yours, a map drawn by someone else? In that still moment, when the noise faded, something began to stir within me. A whisper, a spark, a glimpse of who I was before I became what I thought I needed to be. That's what awakening is all about. Not a starting point, but a return to yourself. My grandfather once shared a story with me as a child that stuck with me, even when I didn't fully grasp it. He talked about a golden bird trapped in a crystal cage. From its cage, the bird could see the sky, mountains and clouds drifting by like soft whispers. But it never dared to fly, scared that it might break the cage. Overwhelmed with longing, it began to sing. Its song was so pure, so true, that the crystal cage melted away, setting the bird free to soar. I asked my grandfather, what was the cage? His wise, gentle eyes softened as he replied, "The cage, my child, is what we build with our doubts, fears, and the labels we accept as our identities. But the song, that's your truth. No one can silence that but you." Sitting beneath the tree that night, it hit me. I was that bird. Every choice made out of fear of what others thought, every dream sacrificed for comfort, every time I hushed my voice to please someone else, I had constructed my own crystal prison. The hardest truth, I had stopped singing. With my eyes closed, I let the silence wrap around me and asked, what's holding me back? At first, excuses tumbled through my mind. No time, too many responsibilities, fear of failing. But when those voices quieted, a deeper truth surfaced. Nothing was holding me back but me. So what was I waiting for? The soul doesn't awaken with noise or demands. It stirs quietly, like dawn gently breaking through the darkness. It fills you with a certainty you can't quite explain, a warmth from within, whispering that you've always been more than you ever thought. All you need to do is remember. But remember, this isn't a quick fix. It's a journey, full of challenges. Awakening your soul means facing yourself, confronting those truths you've pushed away and the fears you've buried. Yet it also leads to a freedom that isn't tied to stuff or outside influences. Validation is the freedom that comes from reconnecting with something infinite, something that's always been inside you. That night under the stars, I made a promise, not to the person I knew, but to the person I was just starting to discover. I vowed to listen to that quiet, persistent voice that had always called to me, even when I tried to ignore it. I promised to break free from my cage, even though I was scared of what lay beyond it. The road to silence isn't a straight path. It's a winding trail, thorny and uneven. It can prick your pride, your ego, and your certainty. I remember walking through a forest after a heavy rain. The mud stuck to my feet, making every step tough. But as I moved forward, I became more aware of my presence, of the effort it took with each step. The journey to silence is just like that. You can't rush it. You have to move patiently, allowing each moment to change you. Why do we fear silence? I wondered. Silence leaves us exposed. No distractions, no excuses, no masks. That apparent emptiness reveals everything we are, which can be a terrifying thought. What if we don't like what we find? But here's the thing. Silence doesn't judge. It doesn't accuse or condemn. It simply shows us ourselves, offering a chance to see and recognize what's there. And that's where transformation starts. I once heard a story about a monk who searched for enlightenment for years. He prayed, meditated, and studied, yet felt like something was missing. One day, frustrated, he sat by a river and vowed not to move until he understood his quest. Days went by with no change. Then, while staring into the water, he saw a single leaf float down and sink. In that moment, he realized his mind was like the river. Only when he stopped stirring the waters with his thoughts could he see clearly what had always been there. The journey to awakening is similar. It's not about becoming something new. It's about uncovering what's always been within. It's about breaking down the cages we've built and letting our true selves finally sing. What is your cage? When will you let yourself start to sing? The river of silence is always there, waiting for the courage of stillness to reveal its depths. Taking that first step requires bravery, the kind of bravery that allows you to stand firm against the urge to run. In stillness, chaos transforms. Thoughts no longer control us. They drift by like passing clouds, just echoes of what once felt unshakable. In the midst of emptiness, something deep stirs, a connection to the eternal. While we can't silence the world outside, we can lessen its grip on us. True silence isn't out there. It's found within, a peaceful sanctuary present in every moment. It's the calm in the chaos, untouched by the turmoil around us. But finding that inner space isn't simple. Impatience, discomfort, and doubt can pull you back. Yet, if you push through, you'll learn that silence isn't something to chase after. It's always there, at the core of who you are, a timeless spark that doesn't need words to shine. The journey to that silence is like passing through 3 sacred doorways, each leading you deeper into truth. These aren't just stops along the way, they're gateways to transformation. The first doorway is ignorance, and that's not a slight. It's a reflection of how we often live, so focused on appearances. We can get trapped in our stuff, our titles, and the approval we seek from others. It's tempting because it feels easy, but it's a cage made of borrowed beliefs. Only when that inner voice starts to ask, "Is this all there is?" does the path forward truly open up. Next comes the doorway of instruction. Here, the real journey begins, not by filling your head with new facts, but by clearing away the illusions. Learning means letting go of what's not real. Each truth you uncover usually feels less like a win and more like shedding a weight. This phase shows us that everything is fleeting. What comes up will eventually fade away. Finally, the third doorway leads to wisdom. You don't earn this. It finds you when you're ready. Wisdom isn't just knowing, it's being. It's the richness of experience and understanding that goes beyond words. It's the light that stays when everything else fades. In the stillness of this third doorway, you discover the unstruck sound, the silence that speaks without a sound. It's a resonance from the deepest part of you. You won't hear it with your ears, but your soul will feel it. This is the wordless language of truth, the eternal hum of life that whispers, "You are not separate from what you seek. You are the garden you wish to enter." As you walk this path, take a moment to ask yourself, where are you right now? Are you still standing at the gates of the garden, lost in ignorance? Have you found yourself among the flowers, learning valuable lessons, or caught a glimpse of the peaceful depth of wisdom? No matter what your answer is, there's a river of silence flowing within you, waiting for you to take that first step into it. When someone first told me to listen to the silence, I felt so frustrated. They said to listen, and the sound that's never struck would reveal itself. But how do you hear something that has no shape? I spent days sitting quietly, trying to find even a hint of sound. All I got was the chaotic noise of my buzzing thoughts, like a messy choir. Have you ever felt that? That noisy inner chatter, even when everything around you is calm? That's when I realized the problem wasn't the silence. It was me. My mind was expecting that silent sound to be just like any other noise from outside, filling up empty spaces. But this sound isn't about adding anything. It's about peeling away the clutter you carry inside. It's not something you chase after. It's what you let happen. One night in that stillness, I surrendered. I stopped pushing and searching. I just allowed things to be. And then it happened. Not a sound as we typically know it, but a gentle vibration, a presence. It felt like the entire universe was breathing in sync with me. This is the mystery of that unstruck sound. It's not something you hear, it's something that listens to you. The unstruck sound is the heartbeat of the cosmos, a quiet call that echoes in the deepest parts of you, waiting patiently for you to calm your mind and open your heart. It reminds you that you're not separate from everything else out there. Everything you search for outside of yourself already exists within you. But getting to that connection isn't easy or peaceful. It's a dance between light and shadow, between knowing your true self and holding on to your fears. At first, the journey feels magical. It's like the universe is opening doors for you. Signs light your way, and you feel you're heading towards something bigger than yourself. But then things change. What once felt flowing now turns turbulent. Clarity gives way to doubt, and peace becomes a storm. This is when you face the destructor. It doesn't come as an outside enemy, it rises from within. It's the whisper of every unhealed wound, every hidden fear, every limiting belief you've been clinging to. It asks, who are you to seek the infinite? You're not enough. This is a waste of time. The destructor isn't your foe. It's more like a mirror showing you what you're afraid to confront. It thrives on doubt, but it's not out to ruin you. Instead, it's there to challenge you. Only by facing it can you discover who you really are. The true sound of your being lives in the moments we often ignore. The stillness between your heartbeats, the pause in your breath. It's the quiet hiding in the chaos, the reflection of the endless within the calm waters of your spirit. Like a lake that settles after a storm, it reveals the sky inside you, but only when your mind calms its constant ripples. To hear this, you need to be still. To feel it, you've got to let go. In that letting go, you'll realize that this core sound has always been here, waiting for you to remember. I remember a night darker than most. I was lost in a storm I had created myself. I'd been meditating, searching for that elusive calm everyone talks about. Instead of peace, a flood of thoughts erupted. Memories of every mistake, every failure, every harsh word I'd ever heard. A noise so loud it drowned out the silence I craved. That's when I came face to face with the destructor. Not a force outside me, but a presence rising from within, pulling shadows from the depths of my mind. It whispered doubts, telling me to give up. What's the point? It taunted. In that heavy dark, a quiet voice emerged, not loud but steady. Look at it, it urged me. At first I hesitated. How could I confront something so massive? But the voice pushed on. The destructor only has power if you run away from it. So I stayed. I didn't flee. I didn't fight. I just watched. What happened next changed everything. As I faced my fears, they began to fade away like morning fog under the sun. Beneath that thick veil, I found something surprising. The fear itself. The destructor wasn't my enemy. It was a part of me, desperately holding on to the identity I'd built over the years. It wasn't trying to destroy me. It was scared of change. It was my ego, clinging to control. In that moment, I realized a truth that changed my whole outlook. The destructor isn't there to stop your journey. It's there to fuel your growth. Without its fire, there can be no cleansing, no transformation. Just like gold must endure heat to become pure, the soul must go through trials. Every time the destructor shows up, it gives us a choice: retreat or move forward. Sure, moving ahead can feel really intimidating, but that's the only path to true freedom. There's an age-old lesson about walking through fire without getting burned. That fire? It's the destructor. It's a crucible where illusions are stripped away and only the truth remains. But here's the catch. You don't fight the destructor. You learn about it. You see it for what it really is. And in doing that, you take away its power. It stops being an enemy and becomes a teacher. I remember a river from my childhood. Two currents met there. One was calm and gentle, while the other was wild and chaotic. I was scared of that turbulent current for a long time until I finally decided to step into it. What I found was surprising. Beneath that chaos, the river flowed steadily. That wild surface was just a thin layer. Underneath, it was peaceful. The destructor is just like that chaotic current. It looks chaotic on the surface, but underneath, it's the same force guiding you toward the truth. Your job isn't to dodge it, it's to learn how to flow with it. Let it push you forward instead of holding you back. Facing the destructor also led me to a big realization. Inner harmony isn't about defeating the noise or chaos in life. It's not a prize waiting for you at the end of a long struggle. It's always been there, just waiting for you to notice. In a world that tells us to look for validation and answers outside ourselves, turning inward can seem like a far-off dream. Yet, that's the only place true harmony resides. There was this one ordinary day when the word harmony changed from just being a concept to something real. It wasn't some grand moment. It was a simple pause, a stillness that enveloped me. The world's noise, constant notifications, endless tasks, and shallow chats had me feeling lost. I wandered into a forgotten park and sat on an old bench, not expecting anything. In that quiet stillness, I heard something I'd ignored for too long, my own heartbeat. It wasn't the racing thoughts in my head, but a deeper, calmer rhythm, a presence that had always been there, waiting for me to notice. That moment showed me, harmony isn't about a lack of chaos. Life will always have its challenges and storms. Harmony is about finding your center through it all. Finding that solid core within yourself, one that stays steady even when everything around you gets chaotic, isn't about trying to control everything in life. It's about how you choose to navigate through it. The journey to harmony seems easy, but it doesn't need more effort or practice. It actually asks for the opposite, letting go. One night, feeling completely worn out from chasing after harmony, I just stopped. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and let everything simply exist. In that release, I discovered something remarkable. Harmony wasn't a finish line to reach. It was a memory to cherish. It was already part of me, waiting for me to slow down enough to notice it. Like our breath, harmony is a back and forth dance of receiving and letting go. We don't create it, we uncover it. Life's trials and storms lead us to harmony rather than destroy it. They clear away the excess, leaving only what really matters. To find that harmony, we need to welcome the chaos, observe it without fear, and remember that beneath it all, we are already complete. Every day, we look at the world through many filters, our past experiences, fears, and expectations. What we see isn't the raw reality. It's a story our minds quickly put together. But what happens when those filters fade away? What remains when we see ourselves in the world with pure clarity? I remember the day it clicked for me. After a storm, I went out for a walk. The air was thick with the smell of wet earth, and sunlight was dancing on the droplets clinging to the leaves, making tiny stars. For a moment, all my worries vanished. I wasn't thinking or analyzing, I was just observing. In that quietness, something changed. The world stopped feeling distant. It became a lively space I was fully in. Have you ever experienced one of those rare moments when time seems to freeze and everything comes into sharp focus? It's something you can't chase, but when it happens, you realize how much your thoughts have clouded your view of life. This is what pure perception is all about, seeing without the mind's distortions. But reaching that clarity isn't easy. The mind, like a restless river, won't calm down just because you want it to. It fills every quiet moment with noise, judgments, and endless comparisons. Right, wrong, better, worse. Those constant assessments are hard to tune out. One time, a teacher told me that pure perception isn't about uncovering the truth. It's about stopping the lies we tell ourselves. At first, I didn't quite get what she meant by lies. But as I paid more attention to my thoughts, everything started to make sense. Every day I was writing stories about who I was, who others were, and what life should look like. It felt like I was in a theater, playing all the roles, the writer, the actor, and the audience. The journey to pure perception starts with a simple yet powerful idea. Stop. Stop running. Stop trying to change what you see. Stop labeling every single experience. Just be. At first, it might feel awkward or even dull, but if you stick with it, remarkable things start to happen. Reality begins to unfold just as it is. I remember a specific exercise that really changed my perspective. Someone asked me to look at a flower for 10 minutes without naming it, analyzing it, or comparing it to anything else. At first, my mind fought against it, itching to categorize and judge. But as I kept gazing, that flower transformed into a vibrant universe of colors, textures, and movement. It didn't need to be anything else. And in that moment, I realized that neither did I. Pure perception goes beyond just watching the world. It's a reflection of who you truly are when you let go of the stories you've told yourself, like I'm not enough or I need to prove my worth. What you find is the quiet observer within you, the one who's always been there. You don't need complex rituals or far-off retreats to practice this. Start small. Next time you take a drink of water, pause. Notice how the light sparkles in the liquid. Feel the coolness of the glass in your hands. Listen to the sound as you sip. Be completely present in that moment. It might seem insignificant, but in these small acts of focus, the world shifts. There's an old tale about a disciple who asked his teacher how to reach enlightenment. Instead of a direct answer, the teacher took him on a long walk through the hills and valleys. They finally stopped by a stream. "What do you see?" the teacher asked. The disciple replied, "A stream, rocks, and trees." The teacher smiled and urged him to look again. This time, the disciple just observed. The stream wasn't just water rushing over stones anymore. It became life, movement, and connection. Then he realized, enlightenment isn't about spotting something extraordinary. It's about seeing the ordinary with fresh eyes. Changing your perspective can transform how you see the world. You don't need to change your life, just adjust your viewpoint. This shift shows you a deeper truth. What you've been looking for outside has always been inside you. Think of deep meditation. It's not something you can force or a technique to master. It's a state you allow. I remember the first time I tried to sit in silence. My mind was a chaotic storm, getting louder every second. I felt frustrated, wondering why I couldn't find peace. That frustration became my first lesson. You can't force tranquility, just like you can't command the wind. I once heard someone say, the river doesn't need to stop flowing to find peace. Peace is in its depths. That really changed my perspective. It's not about stopping your thoughts, but settling into the stillness beneath them. It's about realizing you are the river, not just the waves. One afternoon, I sat under a tree. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating dancing patterns on the ground. In that moment, everything else faded away. The noise of the city, my racing thoughts, even my identity. What I felt was a deep sense of completeness. This was true stillness, not merely happiness or sadness, but something much deeper. Sometimes, solitude feels like facing a storm. Thoughts can hit you like strong winds, pulling you along. I once asked someone wiser what to do with those thoughts. They said, let them pass. So I learned, thoughts are like clouds. No matter how thick they seem, they can't hide the sky. You are the sky. There's a story about an elderly man who, nearing the end of his life, was asked what he learned above all else. His simple yet profound answer was, I learned to watch the fire without burning. This speaks to a truth often missed in our busy lives. It's about inner stillness, being able to observe your thoughts, fears, and frustrations without letting them control you. You don't have to put out the flames. You simply realize you aren't the flames. The real power of this practice isn't in what it takes away, but in what it reveals. Sitting in silence isn't about trying to be someone else or reaching some elevated state. It's about returning to your core, connecting with the unshakable essence of who you are. What you discover there is vast and indescribable. Imagine an endless ocean where all your identities fade away, leaving just the pure experience of being. Why does this matter? A restless mind makes you react without thinking, resist what is real, and dodge discomfort. But when you tap into that deep, quiet space inside, everything shifts. The chaos around you doesn't disappear, but you're no longer tied to its storms. You become an observer, someone who can watch the waves without getting pulled in, someone who can walk through fire without getting burned. One morning, while I sat in stillness, something small yet life-changing happened. It wasn't some grand revelation or wild vision. It was just a deep connection to the life surrounding me. The rustling leaves, the cool breeze, even the far-off hum of the city. What used to distract me now became a part of me, and I became part of it. In that peaceful moment, I realized something powerful. The universe isn't apart from us, it's within us. This understanding goes beyond short meditations. It's a thread running through our entire lives, linking us to something vast and steady. Some call this intuition, others call it divine consciousness. To me, it feels like a silver thread, delicate but unbreakable, connecting the seen with the unseen, the finite with the eternal. This thread is the bridge connecting our doubting minds with our knowing souls, linking external chaos with inner calm. I first stumbled upon this idea as a restless seeker, always looking outside for answers. I gobbled up books, sought out mentors, and collected teachings like treasures, hoping they would fill the emptiness inside. But no matter how much I gathered, the void remained. It wasn't until an old traveler shared some quiet wisdom that things began to shift. "Stop looking out there," he said. "The true guide has always been within you." At first, I brushed off his words. How could I trust my inner voice when my mind was tangled with doubts? Sensing my hesitation, he added, "The silver thread never breaks, but you can only feel it in silence." That phrase lingered, pushing me toward an inward journey. I started to observe my thoughts and emotions like reflections in a mirror. I realized that the more I tried to control everything, the more I felt disconnected from this inner thread. But when I let go of control and allowed life to flow, it stayed with me, gently guiding me like a soft whisper. Silver thread isn't something you can actually see or touch. It's more of an experience, a quiet understanding that there's something inside you that knows the way forward. Even when you feel lost, it reminds you to keep going, even when the road ahead seems unclear. It's that calm voice saying, no matter how strong the storm, it will eventually pass. This inner guide doesn't yell or demand. It waits like a patient friend at your door, knowing that one day you'll choose to open it. But to hear it, you need to quiet the chaos of the world and your restless mind. I remember walking through an autumn forest, with golden leaves dancing in the air and the ground crunching beneath my feet. In that moment, everything felt so clear, as if everything around me was alive and connected to something vast and mysterious. I wasn't walking alone. Something inside me, something that has always been there, was taking steps alongside me. That's when I realized the guide we seek isn't out there. It's a memory waiting to surface. It's a truth that's always been part of us, timeless and present. In every moment we allow ourselves to just be, without wearing masks. It's that part of you that's always awake, just waiting for you to wake up too. When people ask how to find this silver thread, I tell them the truth. You don't find it because it's never been lost. All you need to do is pause. Stop running. Stop searching. Just be still and listen. Not with your ears, but with your heart. Look at your life, your joys, your sorrows, your victories, and your struggles. See how each moment has created a perfect path guided by this thread. Even in your darkest times, when you felt alone, this thread was there, connecting you to your deepest truth. This inner guide doesn't promise easy answers or a smooth journey, but it reminds you of your strength. It shows you that every step, no matter how uncertain, is part of a bigger journey. It's a quiet light in the fog, not lighting up the whole road, but offering just enough illumination for the next step. There's an old story about a traveler seeking wisdom in the mountains. After a tough journey, he reached the summit and found a simple cabin. Inside, instead of the wise master he expected, there was only a mirror. Frustration bubbled up in him. Had he been tricked? But as he looked into the mirror, something began to shift. Reflection transformed from just an image into a rich tapestry of his experiences, lessons, and potential. In that moment, the traveler realized that the master he was searching for had always been inside him, the essence of the silver thread. This story captures the unbroken link between who we are and who we can become, blending the temporary with the eternal. No matter how disconnected we might feel, this infinite source is always with us, waiting for those quiet moments to shine through. Life often drowns it out, but sitting in silence, without needing answers, reveals it. At first, it might feel chaotic, but with persistence, that silence becomes a gentle reminder that everything's okay. That's the silver thread. By following it, you discover the most authentic part of yourself instead of seeking a separate teacher. To embrace this connection, we must learn the art of letting go. Renunciation often feels like losing something, but what if it's really about gaining freedom? What if letting go of what weighs us down creates room for something bigger? During a tough time in my life, I realized that renunciation isn't the end, it's the start of what truly matters. This idea stuck with me, and I began to notice the many full cups I was carrying: old wounds, unrealistic expectations, paralyzing fears. Gradually, I started to empty them out, making space for something more authentic. Letting go doesn't mean abandoning what you love or detaching. It's about having the courage to ask yourself, does this help me grow or does it keep me trapped? It's a daily practice, like pruning a tree, not to destroy it, but to help it thrive. One afternoon, as I walked along the shore, I watched the waves retreat and return with effortless grace. The tide never clings, it just flows. In that moment, I realized that nature itself knows how to let go. Trees drop their leaves in the fall, flowers shed their petals, and rivers don't cling to the stones in their way. If nature can surrender without struggle, why do we find it so hard? Renunciation is not about losing, it's about letting what is truly essential come forth. When people ask how to know when to let go, I share this thought. When holding on feels heavier than the love you have for it, maybe it's time to let go of what's making you feel smaller, trapped, or disconnected. This isn't about pushing things away, it's about loving yourself. Surrendering and finding a connection can help dissolve one of our greatest misconceptions, that we're separate from one another. We act like we're isolated islands, but what if that's just an illusion? What if every wall we build for protection also keeps us from the deeper connections we really want? There was a time when I thought being separate was a strength. I bragged about my independence, thinking I didn't need anyone. But the more I accomplished, the more I felt that something was missing. A chat with a friend changed everything. They asked if I ever felt like a wave in the ocean. At first, I didn't get it, but they explained that while waves look individual, they're never really apart from the sea. They're just the sea taking different shapes. You too think you're alone, but you're always part of something bigger. That idea broke down the walls I'd built. I started to understand how separateness had colored my life. Achievements felt empty, and relationships seemed guarded. The ego, which claims to make us unique, can actually trap us. True freedom isn't about getting rid of the ego. It's about recognizing it as a tool, not our master. One time, I stood atop a mountain after a tough climb. As I looked out at the vast landscape, I felt a powerful sense of unity. I wasn't separate from the mountains, the wind, or the sky. My breath, my effort, even my weariness were all part of the same greater whole. The idea of separateness faded away, leaving only connection. When we let go of that illusion, our lives change. We shift from competing to collaborating, from judging to understanding, from shutting ourselves off to opening up. We realize that every thought, word, and action sends ripples into the world, shaping things beyond what we can see. In that awareness, we reconnect with the inner wisdom that reminds us we were never really alone. There's an old tale of a monk who, during deep meditation, caught a glimpse of a limitless fabric made of threads of light. Every movement at one point created ripples that touched the entire structure, connecting all the threads together. When his meditation wrapped up, the monk said, "Now I get it. There are no others. Every wound I cause is a wound I feel myself. Every act of love, that's what heals the world. This light we share is real, even if we can't always see it. Each of us is a thread in this fabric, and every time we connect, we either strengthen or weaken the weave." We often fail to notice this truth because we're blinded by the illusion of being separate, thinking we're isolated and alone. But that's just a trick of the mind. The connection is always there, waiting for us to notice. When life feels heavy or lonely, take a moment to realize everything you do and are is tied to others. You don't need to make grand gestures. Sometimes it's the small things, a kind word, a moment of gratitude, that have the biggest impact. In those moments, the ego softens and the truth shines through. Independence isn't true freedom. Real freedom comes when you see that we're all interconnected. That's what life is all about. This awareness can change everything. Strangers become mirrors showing you parts of yourself. The world shifts from being a battlefield to feeling like home. You don't feel alone anymore. Instead, you feel supported by an invisible force that's always been there. Like a wave in the ocean, you realize you've never been separate from the whole. On the spiritual journey, you eventually hit a crossroads, a fork in the road where two paths offer very different promises. One path is wide and golden, leading to personal peace and the fulfillment of your desires. The other is narrow, shadowy, and uncertain, calling you towards sacrifice and service without a guaranteed reward. Choosing between these paths isn't easy. The first time I faced this crossroads, I didn't understand what it meant. I had spent years seeking answers, trying to make sense of myself and the world. I thought my spiritual journey was all about achieving personal enlightenment, a state of perfect peace. But just when I felt close to that goal, a deeper question hit me. Why are you seeking this? Is it just for you, or is there something greater? This question stopped me in my tracks. I had always viewed my journey as something deeply personal, a solo pursuit for my growth. But standing at that crossroads, I began to see another option. I discovered what I had to offer, and I realized it was meant to help others. But honestly, that realization was scary. It meant I had to let go of my ideal vision of a calm and perfect ending. It meant I had to choose the harder path. I found myself wondering, why can't I take both paths? Why can't I find inner peace while also lending a hand to those in need? At some point, I had to pick one. The first path invites you to bask in your spiritual success. It caters to your desire for peace and safety, but it also hides a trap, the temptation to stop and settle, to think your journey only benefits you. The second path is different. This one is about kindness and service. It's about choosing to confront the world's troubles and declare, I'm here to help. But it's not easy. It demands constant effort and a willingness to embrace unpredictability. I'm reminded of a story about a wise sage who heard the cries of those still suffering after he entered eternal heaven. Instead of enjoying bliss, he chose to mentor others. He gave up his own peace for a greater good. That's the path of a bodhisattva, the one who decides to return to chaos and shine a light. This story challenges me. What would I do in that situation? Even today, which path am I walking? It might not seem like it, but we all face this choice at multiple points in our lives. Every day we make countless small decisions about whether to act for ourselves or consider how our actions impact others. During a short meditation, I realized these two paths aren't as separate as they seem. There are stages to the journey. You can't give what you don't have. First, you've got to find your own truth and peace. But the real question is, what will you do with that peace? It's not about just resting in it. Reaching a crossroads isn't a finish line. It's a call to expand your purpose. It's about letting your growth touch the lives of others. In the end, it doesn't really matter which path you take first, because both lead to the same truth. We are all connected. Helping others is a way to help yourself. To heal the world, you must first heal yourself. The tapestry of light, the ocean and its waves, the crossroads, we're all reminders of one simple truth. We're part of something bigger. Much greater than we often realize. That's where we truly find ourselves. When I first heard about the heart's teachings, I thought it was something mystical, meant for the spiritually elite or hidden in old texts. But that's not where I found its true essence. No, it showed up in the simplest, most ordinary moments, so simple that I nearly missed them. I was in a park, watching a little kid trying to lift a toy that was just too heavy for him. His struggle was in vain, but before I could help, another child, just a bit older, put aside his own game and jumped in to assist without a second thought. It wasn't a big show, just a genuine, instinctive act of kindness. That brief moment taught me something deep. The heart's teachings aren't learned, they're remembered. There's a subtle voice inside us reminding us that life isn't about winning or achieving. It's about connecting, sharing, and being there for one another. The wisdom of the heart goes beyond logic. Unlike the eyes, which focus on what we can see and measure, the heart looks beyond how things appear. The eyes break the world into pieces, but the heart encourages us to see the unity behind those pieces. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about seeing the deeper truth beneath it. a truth that words can't capture, but the heart knows instinctively. I struggled for years to balance the heart's call with the demands of the world. How could I follow my heart amidst all the noise and pressure? The answer didn't come in some grand epiphany, but through small, everyday moments. It was in listening to someone who needed support, forgiving when my pride wanted revenge, or simply smiling at a stranger. These small acts were powerful. They reminded me that the heart communicates through feelings, the quiet truths that cut through doubt. There's an old tale of a disciple who asked his teacher about the difference between the eye and the heart. Instead of giving a direct answer, the teacher took him to a calm lake and asked him to describe his reflection. The disciple talked about his features, the eyes, the mouth, the hair. Then the teacher ruffled the water, distorting that reflection. "Now who are you?" he asked. Quietly, unable to speak, the master placed a hand on his chest and said, "When you start seeing yourself through your heart instead of your eyes, you'll understand something profound. The heart doesn't crave approval or recognition. It isn't driven by competition or the need to improve. It's simply a spark that connects you to everything around you. Embracing this idea doesn't take grand gestures. You can find it in those calm moments when you listen beyond words, when you see others as parts of yourself, and when you forgive, not because it's easy, but because it sets you free. Trust that inner voice that nudges you towards what feels right, even when your mind doesn't get it. The journey of the heart isn't always clear-cut. It won't guarantee a smooth ride or instant success, but it gives you something more precious, a life full of meaning. It shows us that the real legacy we leave behind is measured by how we act from a place of love and connection, not by the things we achieve or own. Every heart-driven action touches others in ways we might never fully grasp. On this journey, we will face inner challenges, those invisible walls within us. These hurdles may be small, but they carry a big weight, shaping our path in ways that can feel overwhelming. Often, fear shows up first, trying to keep us in our comfort zone and whispering about safety. But the moment we confront that fear, it loses its grip. As we push through, it fades into a shadow. Pride can also get in the way, often masquerading as confidence. We might start to believe we've learned all we need to know, yet pride separates us from the humility that helps us grow. The higher we climb, the more we need to stay grounded and remember that it's service, not comparison, that defines true greatness. Then there's doubt, always lurking nearby. It makes us question our worth, our purpose, and our direction. But like fear, doubt can be a teacher. Walking through it builds our strength and reveals truths that only persistence can uncover. And let's not forget desire. It's not just wanting the basics, it's that constant itch for something outside ourselves to feel whole. This longing distracts us from the deeper satisfaction that's already within us. The teachings of the heart don't make challenges disappear, but they change how we see them. It shows us that obstacles aren't walls blocking our way. They're doors that open up paths for growth. They guide us back to ourselves, reminding us of that quiet truth the heart always knows. Our greatest strength is found in connection, in love, and in the deep understanding that we're never really alone. In the end, the doctrine of the heart is a way of living that goes beyond the limits of our minds. It's about realizing that in every act of love and every moment of connection, we remember who we truly are, not isolated pieces, but vital parts of something much bigger. For years, dreams, ambitions, and the fleeting highs of success shaped my life. I chased after goals, believing they would bring me happiness, validation, and that thrilling sense of winning. But the more I achieved, the emptier I felt. The truth quietly revealed itself. Desire, no matter how fulfilled, never really satisfies. It seeks something outside us that can only be found within. Letting go of desire doesn't mean giving up on your dreams. It simply means refusing to let them define your worth. It's about surrendering, not giving up hope, but releasing the weight of the old burdens we carry. Relationships, expectations, and outdated beliefs can hold us back, tying us to versions of ourselves that no longer fit. I learned this when I had to leave behind a life that didn't resonate with who I was becoming. It felt like falling apart, but in that breakdown, I discovered freedom. Letting go wasn't a loss. It cleared the space for what truly mattered. Change is a constant, yet we tend to resist it. We cling to the familiar, thinking it will protect us from pain. Doubt whispers, "You're not ready," or "maybe later." But life won't wait until we feel prepared. Change is like a wave. It can either crash down on us or teach us how to rise and ride its currents. When I stopped resisting, it hit me. Each transformation, no matter how tough, brought me closer to who I was meant to be. The illusion of separation, the idea that we're alone and disconnected, is dangerous. It tricks us into fighting every battle in isolation. But connection is the antidote to this illusion. Every time you open up, share your fears, or reach out for support, you diminish that sense of separateness. Finding comfort in someone else's presence lifts the loneliness. You start to realize you're part of something much bigger, and you've never really been alone. The challenges you face are not your enemies. They're more like guides. They show up repeatedly in different ways, teaching you how to break free and grow. Each challenge uncovers a piece of your soul that's eager to be set free. But there's a tough truth to swallow. Inside you, there's both light and shadow. We often think we need to be purely good, that our worth comes from being perfect and admirable. But the more we chase the light, the heavier our shadow becomes. I learned this when my shadow didn't feel abstract. It appeared as anger, sadness, and envy, feelings I tried to deny because they clashed with my ideal self. I kept insisting, "This isn't me," but pushing it away just made it stronger. Your shadow isn't your enemy. It's made up of everything you've rejected about yourself, the parts you're scared to face. Yet, that shadow holds the key to your deepest growth. Why do we shy away from it? It constantly reminds us of our flaws. Here's the catch. The more you push away your shadow, the more control it has over you. But when you accept it, you regain your power. The light within us symbolizes everything we aspire to be: our compassion, our love, our connection to something bigger. But remember, light can't exist without darkness. A candle's flame shines only because of the surrounding night. Living only in the light is like trying to walk on one foot. You'll lose your balance. I found true peace not in perfection, but in wholeness. There's an old tale about a warrior who, after years of fighting, faces a dragon blocking his path. This dragon embodies everything the warrior fears. He tries to battle it, but the more he resists, the stronger the dragon gets. Worn out, the warrior finally meets the dragon's gaze and asks, "What do you want from me?" The dragon replies, "I don't want to defeat you. I want you to accept me because I am a part of you." In that moment, the dragon vanishes and the path becomes clear. Your shadow doesn't disappear when you confront it. It fades when you integrate it. Within that integration lies the strength to endure and the clarity to move forward. Keep moving forward, knowing that you don't have to battle your inner shadow anymore. Don't run away from it. Instead, sit with it and listen. Let it teach you. Every part of you, even the parts you love and those you don't quite understand, has a role to play. When you accept both your light and your shadow, you stop pretending. That's when you truly become free to be who you really are. And in that authenticity, you find a peace that no achievement outside of yourself can offer. Think about patience and perseverance. They're like a river, slowly carving through tough stones over time. Patience is the steady flow, while perseverance is the riverbed guiding its journey. Together, they create paths to our dreams, even when it feels like hope is lost. But just understanding these concepts isn't enough. You need to live them. You need to feel them, especially in moments when time drags on and your goals seem just out of reach. I remember when patience and perseverance felt absent in my life. I was working hard on something I cared about, but the progress was agonizingly slow and felt small compared to the mountain ahead. Doubts crept in like shadows, asking me, "Is this worth it? Why go on when the finish line feels so far away?" One afternoon, while walking a mountain trail, I stumbled upon an old man sitting under a tree, carving wood. His hands, marked by age, moved with a slow, precise rhythm. Each gentle tap of his chisel seemed tiny, but as I watched, a shape started to form from the wood. I asked him how he had such patience for a process that took so long. He smiled and replied, "I don't think about how much is left. I just focus on the stroke I'm making right now." That simple answer sparked something in me. Maybe the issue was my obsession with the outcome rather than the journey itself. What if, instead of rushing to the finish line, I could learn to enjoy the process? I realized patience isn't about giving up. It's about trust. It's the ability to let things unfold without forcing them or abandoning them. It's like caring for a tree. You can't rush its growth, but you can water it, give it sunlight, and nurture it with love. Perseverance, on the other hand, is the quiet commitment to return to that tree every day, even when it appears nothing is changing. It's a silent act of faith, rooted in the belief that in time, results will come, even if they take longer than expected. I started to ignore the need for visible results and focused instead on each tiny step I took. I realized that just like a tree doesn't bloom overnight, every little bit of effort I made was a sign of love and a reminder of my purpose. But patience doesn't mean I won't feel doubt or frustration. There will be times when things feel stuck and it might feel too heavy to keep going. In those moments, it's easy to look at others and think they're moving ahead faster, facing fewer challenges. But comparing yourself to someone else steals your patience. It robs you of peace and makes you forget the beauty of your own journey. Once, I learned about the bamboo tree, and it changed how I see things. The bamboo spends years growing silently, strengthening its roots underground before it even breaks through. And when it finally does, it can shoot up to 30 meters in just a few weeks. What seems like years of stillness is really just a time for preparation, for unseen growth, and building a strong foundation for something amazing. The time you spend without clear results isn't wasted. It's laying the groundwork for your biggest growth. Mastering patience and perseverance is tough, especially in a world that celebrates quick wins and instant success. But anything that matters, creating a meaningful life or going through deep changes, takes time. And not just time sitting around, but time learning, working, stumbling, and getting back up. Perseverance may seem like stubbornness. It's about pushing forward even when the end isn't visible. Each step you take, no matter how small, is a statement of faith, a commitment to your purpose. And on that journey, you learn that the real reward isn't just reaching the goal, but who you become along the way. When I finished that tough project that tested my patience, I didn't feel the big joy I expected. Instead, I felt a quiet, lasting gratitude for every challenge I faced, every moment I almost gave up but didn't. The true treasure I gained wasn't the outcome. It was the inner strength I built throughout the journey. So if you're feeling stuck today, if the road ahead seems long and you're running low on energy, just remember, patience isn't about doing nothing. It's an act of courage. Perseverance isn't a fight. It's a promise you make to yourself to stick with what you love, even when it gets tough. The river keeps flowing, even if it moves slowly. Each tiny strike of the old man's chisel adds up over time. Together they unveiled something extraordinary. Every small step you take today brings you closer to who you're meant to be. Trust the timing, trust your effort. Remember, just like bamboo, the most amazing things often take a long time to show up. But when they do, they can change everything. The path of self-discovery isn't a straight line. It's more like a winding journey with different thresholds, each asking something unique from you. One of the most powerful is the honesty portal. Here, there's no space for masks or excuses. You have to look at yourself with clear eyes and face the shadows you've ignored for too long. When I stepped through this portal, I was hit with insecurities, fears, and ego-driven stories I'd held onto for years. It was tough, but I discovered that truly accepting every part of myself was key to transforming. Honesty isn't about judging, it's about showing love. Then, I faced the forgiveness portal. This was an invitation to let go of the weight of resentment, both towards others and myself. People often talk about forgiving others, but sometimes the hardest person to forgive is the one in the mirror. I remember a night when, after years of guilt over a past mistake, I whispered, "You did the best you could back then. It's time to let it go." And just like that, the invisible burden lifted and the portal opened. Forgiveness isn't about wiping the past away. It's about setting yourself free to move forward. Next up was the compassion portal. It taught me that this journey isn't just for me. What you heal, learn, and discover is meant to be shared. Compassion shows us we're all connected. The pain of another, that's also yours. The deepest transformations happen when you help others along the way, making your light shine bright, not just for yourself, but for those still searching for theirs. Then there was the surrender portal. This one was probably the toughest for me. It wasn't about giving up, but about letting go of control and trusting life's flow. For so long, I thought if I didn't tightly hold on to every part of my journey, it would all fall apart. But life can't be forced. It unfolds as it should. Surrendering wasn't weakness. It was a deep trust in the process, knowing sometimes stepping back makes room for everything meant for you to come in smoothly. Finally, I reached the unity portal, the last threshold. Here you realize that separation is just an illusion. There was never a real divide between you and others. Every triumph, every failure, every heartbreak, they're all pieces of a bigger story. This journey isn't just about finding something outside of you. It's about reconnecting with the part of you that's always been linked to the universe. Walking through these 7 portals isn't just a one-time deal. It's a path that you travel over and over. Sometimes you'll move forward. Other times you might take a step back. Some of these transitions will be easy, while others may require years of soul-searching. Each one is a chance to grow, heal, and rediscover who you are. If you find yourself standing before a portal today, don't let fear hold you back. Each portal has a gift for you, a lesson waiting to be uncovered. You're not alone on this journey. Those who walked this path before you had similar fears and doubts, and those who follow will face theirs too, guided by the same timeless questions. These portals aren't barriers meant to stop you. They're invitations to dive deeper, to let go of what doesn't serve you, and to remember your true self. Crossing them won't change you into someone new. It will help you become more genuinely you, more real, more free. Throughout all of this, a deep truth resides within you. Light and shadow coexist. For a long time, I thought only the light was important. I tried so hard to be good, to earn admiration, to feel worthy. Yet, the more I tried to shine, the heavier my shadow grew. Ignoring it only gave it more strength. When my shadow finally surfaced, it was filled with anger, doubt, and envy. I denied these feelings, thinking they weren't part of me, but denying it only fueled its power. The shadow isn't your enemy. It's a part of you that needs to be recognized, understood, and integrated. It holds the pain you've dismissed and the fears you've run from. In a strange way, it even carries the key to your growth. We often fear our shadow because it highlights our flaws. But here's the twist. The more you resist it, the stronger it becomes. Accept it, and it loses its grip on you. The light inside you signifies your highest self, your compassion, your love, your connection to the divine. But remember, light can't exist without darkness. A candle only shines in the dark. To live solely in the light is like trying to walk on one leg. You'll lose your balance. True peace comes from embracing wholeness, not perfection. In an ancient tale, a warrior faces a dragon. It personifies all his fears. He battles it with everything he's got, but the more he fights, the stronger it gets. Worn out, the warrior finally asks, "What do you want from me?" The dragon replies, "I want you to accept me because I'm part of you." In that instant, the dragon fades away, and the path ahead is clear. Your shadow doesn't vanish when you face it. It melts away when you embrace it. The brightest light emerges from accepting darkness. By welcoming it, you become unbreakable. Next time you encounter your shadow, don't run. Sit with it. Let it speak. It has valuable lessons for you. Every part of you, even the parts you don't quite get, has a reason for being. By acknowledging both your light and your shadow, you stop trying to be someone else. In that freedom, you find the peace of truly being who you were meant to be. As I walked in the rain, a sudden realization hit me. Each drop seemed to hold countless possibilities. I understood then. Life doesn't have to be fully understood to be lived. Wisdom isn't about having all the answers. It's the questions that pull you into deeper exploration. In that quiet moment, I found the core of compassion. It's about opening yourself to the world's pain without shutting down. It's witnessing suffering without judgment and responding with love. Compassion isn't always about grand acts. Sometimes it's in tiny moments, a shared look, a kind word, a quiet gesture. It's seeing another person as a part of yourself. Our minds work like mirrors, showing us everything from fleeting thoughts to intense feelings. But what happens when that mirror gets dusty? The reflections become warped, and we start seeing a distorted version of reality, shaped by our fears and unprocessed feelings. I didn't grasp this until I found myself caught in my own restless thoughts. Something felt off, but I couldn't pinpoint it. I filled my days with distractions, work, conversations, noise, anything to quiet the discomfort. Yet it lingered, like a whisper I couldn't shake. One day, a close friend suggested, "Maybe you don't need more answers. Maybe you need to look inside." That night, for the first time in ages, I sat in silence. At first, it was painful. My mind buzzed with thoughts, each one louder than the last, swirling like leaves in the wind, blocking any clarity. But eventually, something began to change. The thoughts didn't just disappear. I stopped gripping them so tightly. I simply watched them, like reflections in a mirror before me. In that stillness, I found clarity. I realized something important. The mind isn't the issue. It's all the dust, fear, longing, and expectations that clouds our view. When the mind is clear, it shows reality as it is, without any judgments or distortions. Over time, every feeling we've ignored and every truth we've avoided piles up. What we see isn't the actual world, it's our own projections. I once asked a teacher how to keep that mirror clean. They simply said, "You can't stop the dust from settling, but you can choose to wipe the mirror every day." When I asked how, they turned it back on me with a question. What do you do when a strong emotion pops up? I realized I always wanted to suppress or fight it. The teacher smiled, saying, "That's where the struggle starts." Every thought and emotion is like a cloud drifting by the sun. If you try to hold on to it or push it away, it only gets stronger. But if you let it pass, the sun shines through again. Now, when I feel overwhelmed, I remind myself, the mind doesn't need fixing. It needs more room. That space lets the storm settle and the waters clear. I once walked through a forest after a heavy rain and found a lake. The storm had stirred the water, making it muddy and hiding the stones below. But as the wind calmed and the rain eased, the surface cleared, showing the depths beneath. Our minds are like that lake, agitated and cloudy. Still, they can show their natural clarity again. Cleaning the mirror of the mind takes courage, the courage to face what's there, even when it hurts. It also calls for compassion, the understanding that you're not just your thoughts or feelings, you're the awareness watching them come and go. One day, while I was watching the sun reflect on the lake, it struck me. The mirror doesn't have to be perfect to show the truth. It just needs to be sincere. Sincerity begins when we stop identifying with what we see in the mirror. A thought is simply a thought. An emotion is just an emotion. When you observe them without getting attached, something profound appears. The awareness behind the mirror, a steady presence that's always been there, untouched and ready to be seen. If you're feeling lost in your thoughts today, I encourage you to sit in stillness. Don't try to change what comes up, just watch it, like you'd observe your reflection. Ask yourself, is this the truth or just a distorted image? You'll see the dust settle and the water clear. The reflection in your mind shows what's always been there: clarity, peace, and the unshakable truth of who you really are. Clearing that mental mirror isn't about reaching a finish line. It's a daily practice of returning to yourself. Each time you wipe away the dust, you not only regain your clarity, but also remember that you've always been the space where everything unfolds. The mirror isn't the goal, it's the path to uncovering the light that's always been behind it. That light is willpower, a quiet, unbreakable fire inside. It's not driven by ego or fleeting desires. When challenges arise, superficial motivation can fade. But pure will comes from the soul and lasts, even when progress feels slow. I discovered this during a tough time when everything felt like it was falling apart. My carefully set goals crumbled, and those I counted on weren't there when I needed them. A relentless voice whispered, "Give up, this isn't worth it." It was loud and strong. There were moments I almost listened, but beneath that noise was something quiet yet steady urging me on. It wasn't just a thought or belief. It felt like a presence pushing me forward when logic said to stop. Where does that kind of strength come from? Is it something we learn, or has it always been there? I realized that pure will isn't something we gain, it's something we uncover. It's like a seed buried under layers of doubt, fear, and excuses. The moment you tune out the outside noise and reconnect with what truly matters, that seed starts to grow. Pure will doesn't thrive on rewards, applause, or instant results. It moves you forward because deep down you know the next step is essential, not because it's easy. It's like walking in the dark, trusting that the path will show itself with every step you take. Once, while hiking a steep mountain trail, I felt this truth firsthand. The day began with excitement, but the climb was tougher than I expected. Each step felt heavier, and my thoughts spiraled. Why should I keep going? But then something changed. No grand revelation, just a whisper inside that said, one more step. So I took that step, then another and another. I finally made it to the top. But the view? It wasn't what I'd been chasing. The real treasure was uncovering what I could do, even when everything inside me said to quit. That kind of willpower is like a hidden river, strong and capable of changing everything around it. When you tap into that, you don't have to shout about your strength. True strength is quiet, steady, and grounded in a promise you make to yourself. But to access that strength, you need clarity. We often confuse surface-level desires with true purpose. We chase after things, thinking they'll make us happy or earn us approval. But true will only answers to what's real, to what your soul truly values. A wise teacher once told his students to walk a long path while holding a candle that they had to shield with their hands. The wind howled, and many let their flames flicker out. Some called it impossible and gave up. Yet one student made it to the end with their candle still burning. When asked how, they simply replied, "I never stopped walking, and I never took my eyes off the flame." That's what pure will is all about. It's about staying focused on what's truly important, no matter how much doubt or hardship you face. But pure will doesn't mean pushing yourself to the breaking point. It thrives on balance, knowing when to move forward and when to take a break. Think of it like breathing. There's a time to inhale and a time to exhale. Pure will doesn't ask you to wear yourself out in chasing your dreams. Instead, it guides you to find a rhythm that keeps you going, step by step. If life feels too heavy today, or the journey seems endless, take a moment to pause. Don't pay attention to those voices in your head telling you that you're too weak, or that it's pointless. Instead, listen deeply to the stillness beneath the clamor. There, you'll uncover the spark you forgot about. It's always been there, waiting for you to remember. When you act from pure will, something amazing occurs. The obstacles stop defining your journey. You begin to measure your success by your commitment to keep moving forward, not by the results. You realize true strength isn't about being the first or perfect. It's about staying authentic to yourself, step by step, moment by moment. There's no need to shout about your resilience. The brightest light doesn't have to announce itself, it simply shines. I remember a time when I faced a real contradiction. I was trying to support someone going through a tough patch, but my own life felt like it was crumbling. I was worn out, and it didn't feel right to keep helping when I was barely holding it together. In my quiet moments, I thought about the bodhisattva, the person who chooses to stay and help others, even when they have their own struggles. A light bulb went off for me. Giving doesn't mean losing yourself. You can actually find yourself when you serve others. There's strength, clarity, and purpose in that choice. The bodhisattva's decision isn't about rejecting life. It's about embracing the connections we all share. It's about letting go of what holds you back so you can welcome what sets you free. Instead of shying away from the world, let yourself see its beauty, its pain, and its contradictions. If you ever wonder if you can walk this path, remember, you don't need to perform grand gestures or make big sacrifices. It's the little things that count. Every time you choose love over fear, connection over loneliness, and kindness over judgment, you're practicing the way of the bodhisattva. This path isn't a walk in the park, but it's deeply transformative. It teaches you that opening your heart to the world, instead of pulling back, leads to true freedom. When you let go of who you thought you should be, you find out who you really are, not just a lonely soul, but a unique part of the whole. The bodhisattva doesn't aim for a final destination, they focus on the present moment. With every step and every small act of giving, they plant seeds of kindness in a world that needs it badly. In the process, they help others and change themselves too. Compassion isn't just a feeling, it's a call to action, a connection that flows between our hearts and the world. It's not only for moments of softness or gentle words. True compassion moves into action. It creates a bridge between separation and togetherness that transforms everyone involved. I once walked down a busy street, lost in my thoughts, when I spotted a man sitting on the sidewalk. His clothes were worn, and his eyes looked empty. Next to him was a sign that read, "I just need to be seen." That phrase stopped me in my tracks. He wasn't just asking for food or money. He was reaching for something deeper, a connection we often forget to offer. Something shifted inside me. It wasn't pity I felt, it was understanding. I sat next to him and asked his name. For the next few minutes, he shared pieces of his life with me, his broken dreams and his quiet hopes for a brighter future. When it was time for me to go, he thanked me, not for the money, but for listening. "Today I felt human," he said. His words stuck with me long after I left. Compassion in action doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't need huge gestures or heroic acts. It often happens in the smallest moments: a smile, a kind ear, a comforting word at just the right time. But turning compassion into action takes more than just good intentions. It requires courage. The courage to step outside our own lives and dive into someone else's, even if it's just for a moment. Yet acting with compassion can be tough. Our minds come up with excuses. "I'm too busy. I don't know how to help. It's not my problem." But deep down, we know compassion isn't about fixing everything. It's about being there, reminding people they're not alone. I once saw this truth in a small village. An elderly woman had lost her roof in a storm. Instead of talking about it or asking how it happened, her neighbors just showed up with tools and started to rebuild. She cried while they worked and said, "I don't know how to thank you." One neighbor replied, "You don't need to. Your well-being is ours." That simple response reminded me that compassion affirms our shared humanity in a world that often pulls us toward isolation. So, how do we create active compassion? First, we need awareness. You can't act with compassion if you're not aware of the suffering around you. This doesn't mean you have to shoulder all the world's problems. It means opening your eyes and heart to what's happening right in front of you. The second step is humility. Sometimes we hold back because we think our small efforts won't matter. But compassion isn't about how big the gesture is. It's about the intention behind it. A single kind word can heal someone. A few minutes of your time might brighten a person's entire day. Lastly, compassion in action needs consistency. One act of kindness isn't enough. It's a daily practice, a commitment that grows each time we choose to listen, to help, to be there for others. Each day, a man would lug 2 clay jugs of water up a steep hill. One jug had a crack in it, and it leaked water the whole way. The cracked jug felt embarrassed about its flaw, but the man reassured it. "Have you seen the flowers along the path? I planted them where your water drips. Because of you, this way is alive with beauty." Compassion doesn't have to be flawless to matter. Even our imperfections can bring love and connection. If you think the world needs more kindness, start with yourself. Ask, what can I do? What can I offer? It doesn't have to be a big gesture. It's about making a steady effort to see others and recognize their humanity. Compassion in action changes not just those around you, but it changes you too. It reminds us of our connection, that every act of kindness creates ripples we can't even imagine. In giving without expecting anything back, you discover something deeper than just feeling good. You find the real essence of being human. Karma isn't about punishment or rewards. It's not a chalkboard balancing every action with precision. It's more like an echo, an energy that circles back to us, reflecting what we put into the world. It's part of a bigger picture, a mysterious kind of justice that guides us. Karma teaches us that every thought and action plants a seed that will grow. I remember first learning about karma when I was young and full of questions. Why do bad things happen to good people? Why do those who hurt others seem to get ahead? I asked these questions, feeling frustrated and hopeless. The answer shocked me. Karma doesn't work on my schedule or expectations. It's like an underground river, always flowing, but often hidden. I didn't fully grasp this until years later when life itself taught me the lesson. There was a time when my ego led my choices, even the seemingly harmless ones. I said careless things, broke promises, and turned away from those needing help. Back then, I didn't link those actions to the loneliness and confusion I felt afterward. It was only when I stopped to think that I began to see the connection. Karma wasn't punishing me, it was simply reflecting what I had created. But karma isn't just about negative actions. It extends beyond that too. The energy grows when we act with love, kindness, and compassion. I remember once walking through a park. I saw an elderly woman struggling with a heavy bag. I went up to her and offered my help. She smiled, and in that moment, I felt something special, a quiet connection. It wasn't a big deed, just a small act, but it stuck with me. It reminded me that little gestures can create waves that come back to us in ways we never expect. Karma doesn't always show up right away. Sometimes the good we share takes years, maybe even lifetimes, to come back around. That can be frustrating, especially when we want quick results. But universal justice runs on its own timetable. It sees things from a bigger picture, beyond what we can see. There's a story about a farmer who planted a tree that would take decades to bear fruit. His neighbors laughed at him, claiming he wouldn't be around to enjoy it. The farmer just smiled and said, "This tree isn't for me. It's for those who come after me." That story showed me that karma isn't always about us. Sometimes the good we do today helps others, even if we never get to see it. Universal justice reminds us not to need to understand every single reason behind everything that happens. When things feel unfair and suffering seems pointless, karma doesn't expect us to just accept it. Instead, it nudges us to ask, what can I learn from this? How can I turn this energy into something good? It's not about accepting a fate set in stone. It's about realizing we always have the power to choose how we respond. Karma doesn't make us repeat the same mistakes. It gives us a chance to learn, grow, and change our patterns. Every kind thought and action leads us toward a better cycle and a deeper connection to universal justice. Justice reminds us we're all connected. Each thought, word, and action influences us, others, and the world around us. We're like waves in an ocean, flowing together or causing discord, depending on the energy within us. If you ever feel like the world is unfair, remember this. Universal justice might not always be clear, but it's always at work. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, contributes to the bigger picture. Every choice we make matters. Every step you take to improve yourself helps create a balance. It's one we might not notice right away, but it's definitely there. Karma isn't something to be afraid of. It's something to respect. It shows us that our thoughts, feelings, and actions shape our world. The universe doesn't impose fairness on us. We create it with everything we do. When you really grasp this, something shifts inside you. You stop wanting revenge because you realize that balance will come in ways you might not even understand. You start to think beyond just yourself, realizing your choices affect a bigger picture. Most importantly, you start to feel sure that every seed you plant, whether it's love or fear, will eventually grow into something. Karma and fairness remind us we're part of a bigger whole, a web of energy and intention that connects us all. Recognizing this brings both responsibility and hope. If every action matters, then each day offers a new chance to make the world better, not just for you, but for everyone around you. In the midst of life's noise and distractions, it's easy to lose touch with our deeper truth. That's where the real work begins. It's about learning to hear that gentle nudge of Dharma amid the chaos. There's an old tale about a musician who became fixated on perfecting his art. He practiced endlessly, fine-tuning every detail. But the harder he pushed for perfection, the less joy he felt. Eventually frustrated, he set aside his instrument and wandered into the quiet of the forest. As he listened to the wind rustling through the trees and the soft trickle of a stream, something clicked. He realized music wasn't just about being the best, it was about feeling and letting the sounds flow through him in the moment. In that moment, he understood that Dharma isn't about meeting outside expectations. It's about embracing who you already are. Dharma isn't a job to finish or a place to get to. It's a journey into your true self. When you live from that space, you don't have to fight to fit in. You already belong. But sticking to your Dharma can be tough. Sometimes the way gets dark, doubts creep in, and the weight of what others expect pulls you away from yourself. Even then, Dharma is patiently waiting for you to come back. It doesn't judge you for straying off course. During a moment of meditation, I had this vivid picture. I saw a river flowing softly through mountains and valleys. Sometimes the river faced obstacles, fallen branches and sharp rocks, but it never stopped. Instead of fighting those barriers, it simply flowed around them, finding a new way. Dharma is a lot like that river. It teaches us that no matter how many twists and turns life throws our way, we can still find our path. Living in harmony with Dharma doesn't mean life will be a breeze. There will be challenges because growth often means stepping outside our comfort zones. But remember, those challenges aren't punishments. They're chances to connect more deeply with our truth. Dharma also reminds us we're all part of a bigger picture. Every action we take when we act from a place of alignment sends ripples out into the world, affecting lives in ways we might never realize. When we live our truth, we inspire others to do the same, weaving a web of connection that stretches endlessly. If you ever feel lost or disconnected, take a moment. Close your eyes and ask yourself, am I living in line with my truth? Am I acting from love, authenticity, and purpose? Listen without judging. Sometimes the answer takes time, but just asking the question is a step toward your Dharma. The magic of Dharma is how it can turn even the smallest actions into something great. When your actions flow from your heart, they gain importance. Dharma doesn't define who you are. It peels back the layers until you can see you've always been part of something bigger, something timeless, wise, and loving. We don't feel a call to serve humanity just because it comes from deep within us. Our conscience reminds us that we're not alone, and the influence of our actions touches more than just ourselves. It's collective love, a connection to the very fabric of existence. I remember a time when this idea hit me clearly. I was walking down a busy street, surrounded by people lost in their own bubbles. The air was thick with noise and urgency, a real sense of disconnection. Then I noticed a little girl. She let go of her mom's hand to pick up some litter off the ground. She smiled brightly, tossed it in the trash can, and returned to her mom as if she'd done nothing special. That little act spoke volumes. It really hit me when I saw the girl. She wasn't thinking about how her actions might change the world or looking for anyone's approval. She just acted from a genuine place, feeling a quiet responsibility to those around her. It's important to remember that helping humanity isn't about pulling off some huge act. It's about our daily choices, those small things we do that add up to something bigger. Sometimes it's just about taking the time to truly listen to someone who needs it. It's sharing what you have, even if it feels tiny. And it's treating everyone with respect, recognizing their humanity and worth. But where does this sense of responsibility come from? For some, it's empathy, the ability to feel someone else's pain. For others, it's a moral compass, a promise to do the right thing just because it is right. At its heart, this sense of duty comes from realizing how connected we all are. There's no me without us. Every action and every word sends out ripples that reach beyond what we can see. Once I asked a teacher how we could fulfill our duty to humanity in a world that feels so chaotic. When our little efforts seem so small against big global issues, he looked at me with the wisdom of many years and said, "Your duty isn't to fix the whole world. Your duty is to be a light in your own space. If each of us shone our light, there wouldn't be any dark corners left." That answer changed my perspective. I realized that our duty to humanity isn't about grandeur, it's about sincerity. An act of kindness from the heart never goes to waste. But let's be real, it's not always easy. There will be times when you feel exhausted or overwhelmed, even when the world seems apathetic. It's vital to keep pushing through those tough moments. Every act of kindness reminds us that we're not alone and that humanity can rise even amidst chaos. When you live by this truth, you came to understand that living your duty is not just a lofty goal, it's a way of life. You see that every choice, no matter how small, can lead to something amazing. You become part of a rhythm, a whisper that reminds you that you belong. There's a story about an old man who walked the shore every morning, gently picking up stranded starfish and returning them to the ocean. One day, a young man came up to him and asked why he did it. "Do you ever feel overwhelmed? There are so many starfish out here. You can't possibly save them all. So, what difference does it make?" The old man stopped and held a starfish in his hand before tossing it back into the sea. "Well, for this one, it makes all the difference." That story has stuck with me. It reminds me that no matter how big the world's problems seem, we should focus on what we can do, where we can do it. Our duty to humanity isn't about being perfect. It's about having good intentions. It's about choosing love instead of fear, connection instead of indifference, and giving instead of receiving. This responsibility goes beyond just us. It's for future generations too. We're not just here to live our lives. We're here to leave a mark, to plant seeds for others to nurture down the line. Every little act of kindness, every step towards a better world, is an investment in a future we might not witness ourselves. But it's one that's definitely worth nurturing. If you've ever felt small or wondered if your actions really matter, remember this. You don't need to do anything huge. Just be real. Act from your heart and see each day as a chance to improve the world. Sometimes that contribution is as simple as sharing a smile, saying a nice word, or being present for someone who needs it. Other times it might mean stepping up for something bigger, an action that changes lives. But the intention, that stays the same. To serve, to connect, to love. Our duty to humanity isn't a burden, it's a privilege. It reminds us that we're all connected, each playing our own unique role in this grand play of life. When we answer that call, we not only change the world, we transform ourselves. In giving, we learn that we already have everything we need. In connecting, we realize we've never been alone. And in loving, we find our true purpose, contributing to something greater than ourselves. Now, samadhi, that state of deep unity, isn't something you can chase or possess. It's a true oneness, emerging with everything around you where the lines between self and other, time and space, just fade away. Achieving samadhi isn't an ordinary feat. It's about surrender, not struggle. It's the moment when your mind lets go and your heart opens wide, allowing life to flow through you freely and without conditions. When I first learned about samadhi, it felt like a distant dream, something only mystics and sages could reach. How could anyone stop being just me? Becoming everything felt impossible, even silly at first. But over time, I realized that samadhi isn't something out there to chase. It's more of a return to what we've always been, a deep remembering of our true self. I remember a brief moment during a walk in the forest. The sun was setting, the soft sound of the river flowed beside me, and the leaves rustled gently. I stopped by the water, just watching it glide effortlessly. Suddenly, something shifted. The line between me and my surroundings faded away. I wasn't just watching the river anymore. I was the river, the wind, the trees, all at once. No thoughts, no time, no identity, just being present. It was a short moment, but it left a mark on me. It wasn't the highest form of samadhi, but it gave me a taste of being fully connected to everything. Samadhi isn't only for mountaintops or deep meditation. It can be felt in the simplest moments if we stop clinging to our ego and let life flow through us. It's not about forcing your way into a state. It happens when you let go of control. Think of it like floating in water. The harder you fight to stay afloat, the deeper you sink. But when you surrender, the water supports you. Reaching this state isn't easy. Our minds are wired to divide, to label, this is me, and that's not me. This habit of separation blinds us to the interconnectedness of life. So the practice isn't about chasing samadhi. It's about breaking down the barriers inside us. It's about releasing everything we're not. A teacher once explained samadhi to me in a way I'll never forget. Imagine you're a wave in the ocean, they said. For a time you feel unique and separate from the others. But deep down you know you're not just a wave. You're the ocean itself. When the wave realizes this, it stops fearing its own disappearance because it understands it was never separate. That metaphor helped me see that samadhi isn't about erasing the self. It's about realizing that the self was never apart from anything. At our core, we've always been the ocean, even when we thought we were just waves. The journey to samadhi includes practices like meditation, contemplation, and detachment, but these aren't the end goals. They're simply tools to guide us. Every time you sit quietly and watch your thoughts without grabbing onto them, each time you pick love over fear, you're tearing down the barriers that keep you from wholeness. Samadhi isn't just feeling a certain way, though it can give you peace. It isn't just a thought process, even if it brings clarity. It's beyond feelings, beyond the mind. It's a real experience of being connected to everything without needing to explain it. Samadhi isn't a final destination. It's an opening to a new way of living. When you touch that state, even for just a moment, it shifts how you view the world. You stop seeing others as separate and start sensing a deep connection with all that exists. This understanding doesn't pull you away from life. Instead, it pulls you closer, letting you dive in with endless love and compassion. If you've ever wondered if you can truly feel this oneness, the answer is yes. Not because you have to go on a big quest, but because it's already inside you. In silence, in surrender, in those moments when you let yourself be completely present, it starts to show itself. You don't achieve it through hard work. You remember it when you stop searching. Samadhi is the gentle reminder that we've never been apart. Every being, every star, every leaf on a tree is all part of an infinite whole. This realization brings peace and the deeper truth that we are the universe experiencing itself, the river, the wind, the whole, and the void. The eternal light of the Spirit is as real as your heartbeat but can't be seen or touched. It's the divine spark in everyone, the constant core that goes beyond time, beyond life and death. It's the essence of who we are, the shining thread that connects all souls and guides us home. I remember when this light first revealed itself to me. It wasn't a big burst of insight. It was a quiet night, dark both above and within me. I felt lost, disconnected, like I was stuck in a tunnel with no way out. I sat quietly, searching for answers, but my mind was noisy. Then, amid all that chaos, something changed. It wasn't a voice or an image. It was a presence, a small but unquenchable flame at my core. While it didn't light up the whole tunnel, its warmth reminded me I wasn't alone. That flame was the eternal light of the Spirit. The light within us isn't something new. It's always been there, just waiting for us to stop looking outside and start looking within. It's not just a select few who can access this eternal light. Every one of us has a birthright to it. You can hear it in a baby's first cry, the wind rustling through trees, the joyful laughter of kids, or the tears of someone suffering. It's the movement of the universe and the stillness that holds everything together. So why do we often feel disconnected from this light? It's the layers of doubt, fear, and false identities that we build around ourselves that create that divide. But here's the thing. Nothing can extinguish this light. It can be blocked like clouds obscuring the sun, but it's still there. Even when the sun feels hidden, it still shines through the clouds. Finding that eternal light is a journey within ourselves, not a search outward. It's about removing our masks and letting go. Each time we release an attachment, fear, or judgment, a little of that light shines through. A spiritual teacher once told me that the eternal light is already within us. It doesn't spark just because we do something special. Our job is to clear the way for it to shine. This journey is about unveiling what's always been there, not striving for something outside us. The eternal light also reminds us of our connection to one another. Even when we feel alone, we're all like rays of sunlight coming from the same source. When you let your light shine, you not only light up your own path, but also guide others on theirs. It's an act of love, not just for yourself, but for everyone. However, living in this light takes courage. It means facing your shadows and looking straight at what's kept you in darkness. The light isn't fighting the darkness. It embraces and transforms it. Every shadow you confront and every wound you heal create a way for the light to flow more freely. I once heard about a man who found an old, dusty lamp in a forgotten room. At first, he thought the lamp was broken because it looked dull. But as he wiped away the dust, the light started to shine, lighting up everything around him. He realized the lamp had always been shining. It had just been covered. We're like that lamp. That lamp, the light inside us, is just waiting for us to clear away the dust, the doubts, the fears, and those limiting beliefs. We can't snuff out that eternal light. It's infinite and unchanging. It reminds us that even in our darkest times, we are more than our circumstances or our stories. We are that eternal spark, that unbreakable connection to something greater. If you feel far from that light today, take a moment. Close your eyes and breathe. Don't look for answers outside. Just sit with yourself. At first, you might only notice silence or background noise. But if you stay quiet, if you remain present, something will emerge, a small spark, a gentle warmth, a reminder of who you truly are. The eternal light isn't a destination. it's the journey itself. It's like the sun that keeps shining, even when clouds try to hide it. When we allow this light to guide our lives, everything shifts. The shadows may still be there, but they stop scaring us. The challenges don't disappear, but we face them with a fresh sense of purpose. We learn that this light is our essence, and as we recognize it in ourselves, we'll start to see it in everyone around us. That eternal light is love and connection, showing us how everything is intertwined. It is who we are, who we have always been, and who we will always be. When we live from this light, we not only find our own peace, we help light up the world one moment, one action, one heart at a time. A teacher once shared a simple metaphor about a candle in a dark room. They said if you're always worried about protecting the flame, afraid it might go out, you end up choking it, starving it of air. But if you trust it and let it shine freely, it will illuminate everything around it. That lesson held a deep truth. This fire doesn't need controlling, it needs to be released. But how do you release a fire that's already burning? The answer is transformation. This fire doesn't consume, it transforms. It changes our doubts into trust, our fears into courage, and our darkness into light. For this transformation to happen, we have to let the fire work. We must hand over our burdens, let go of our resistance, and trust that its warmth will guide us back to who we really are. Once during meditation, I imagined that with every exhale, I was letting go of my worries, judgments, and limits. They didn't just vanish, but something shifted. I felt that the fire accepted them, not to consume, but to transform. This fire isn't here to tear us down, it's here to reshape us. It reminds us we're bigger than our shadows and stronger than our doubts. This fire connects us all. It's the same fire that glows in the sun, warms Mother Earth, and fuels the stars. It's the spark that ties all living beings together, whispering that we're not alone. When we see this fire inside ourselves, we begin to notice it in others too. We realize that behind every face, every action, every story, there's a flame waiting for recognition, respect, and celebration. But it's not always easy to live from this fire. Sometimes life throws storms our way that snuff it out. The weight of our struggles can make us forget it's even there. But trust me, the fire never really goes away. It just hides, waiting for us to turn inward. In those tough times, remember, you don't have to light anything new. Just clear away the fog in your mind and let the flame shine again. This fire isn't just passive, it's a call to action. It urges us to move, to grow, to change the world around us. We're not just here to get by, we're here to truly live, to be a beacon in a world that yearns for warmth and clarity. If today feels like your fire is flickering, close your eyes. Focus on your center, the place where your true essence lives. You don't need to look outside or force anything. Just feel that gentle warmth, that eternal spark that's always been with you. Let its light wrap around you. Let its heat wash away your fears, and let its energy remind you of who you are. This fire cannot be lost. It is you. It's what sustains you, what guides you, and what drives you forward. When you let this fire blaze freely, you'll see it doesn't just change your life. It lights up the lives of those around you, creating an ever-expanding circle of light. This fire is eternal and unbreakable. It doesn't burn to consume. It transforms because that's what it does. It's the spark that's always been with you, waiting for you to remember that even in your darkest times, you're still a flame in the grand tapestry of existence. And while the voice of silence isn't heard by our ears, its echo resonates deep in our souls, a timeless whisper cutting through. Amid the world's noise, there's a gentle pull guiding us back to our true selves. It's not a loud command. Rather, it's a soft invitation to reconnect with who we are. Beyond all the distractions, fears, and illusions, I remember when I first tried to listen to this subtle voice. I felt so frustrated. I had heard that silence brings answers, but all I found was the jumble of my racing thoughts. I closed my eyes, looking for stillness, but my mind kept chattering about unfinished tasks, mistakes I'd made, and worries for the future. How could there be a voice when everything felt so chaotic? Then, unexpectedly, I found a bit of clarity, not through sound, but in the quiet moments between my thoughts. It was there, waiting for me, not demanding attention, but patiently inviting me to make room for it. This quiet voice is always beneath the noise, like a clear sky hidden behind thick clouds. To really hear it, you need to be present. You must let your mind settle and stop fighting against the noise. One day, the voice became clearer to me. I was wandering through a forest, my heart heavy with questions, looking for some outside sign. I sat down by a river, feeling worn out, and just watched the water flow. Then something shifted, not through words or big revelations, but through a deep sense of peace. I understood in that moment that everything was as it should be. The voice of silence doesn't speak in words, it brings clarity through presence. It doesn't tell you what to do, it uncovers what you already know inside. It reflects your true self, connecting you to that part untouched by fears and doubts. Listening to this voice takes practice, especially in a noisy world. It's so easy to get lost in distractions, but silence isn't something we find, it's something we make space for. It appears when we stop cluttering our minds with unnecessary thoughts and just surrender to the moment. When you genuinely listen, you notice your actions shift from being driven by fear to being shaped by what truly matters. You become more present, more aware, and capable of living from a place of love and authenticity. In that silence, a gentle fire begins to shine brighter, guiding not just you but touching the world, one steady flame at a time. The voice of silence doesn't impose answers, it simply invites you to discover them within. El reminds you that the answers are already inside you. It's not about searching outward, it's about tapping into your own inner wisdom. In that quiet moment, you discover something deeper than mere answers. You find peace, clarity, and a sense of purpose that doesn't rely on what's happening around you. If you feel lost or overwhelmed by all the chaos today, just pause for a bit. You don't need a fancy place or a complicated method. Just close your eyes, take a breath, and let yourself feel everything as it is. No judgment, no resistance. At first, it might seem like all you hear are your own racing thoughts. That's okay. The silence is patient. It'll wait for you to be ready to listen. Nirvana isn't some distant dream or a finish line you cross after years of searching. It's a state, a fullness within emptiness, a deep rest from the endless chase of desires and attachments. It's true liberation, not because it marks an ending, but because it brings you back to your true self, an existence free from burdens, a peace that doesn't hinge on anything outside. When I first learned about nirvana, I was told it meant the end of suffering and rising above the self and the world. Those words sounded beautiful but distant, almost abstract. How can you grasp something that goes beyond thought and defies expression? I later found out that understanding nirvana isn't about intellectualizing it, but about feeling it, even if just for a fleeting moment. Life can seem like a never-ending cycle where we chase happiness in stuff, people, and accomplishments. But every time we think we've found it, it slips away like sand through our fingers. That cycle of wanting and frustration, that's what we call samsara, the cage we create by clinging to what doesn't last, by identifying with a self always seeking satisfaction. The key to grasping nirvana is realizing that our suffering doesn't come from the outside. It springs from our relationship with the world. Pain doesn't tie us down. It's our resistance to it that does. Pleasure doesn't trap us. It's our need to hold on to it that keeps us stuck. Liberation comes when we let go of that attachment and resistance. I had a life lesson thrown my way when I faced a huge loss that felt like it would swallow me whole. For weeks, I battled the pain. I tried to overpower it, ignore it, escape it. But one day, I chose to stop fighting. I let the pain simply be. I looked right at it without trying to change it or understand it. That moment, something shifted. The pain didn't disappear, but it stopped controlling me. It felt like I discovered a quiet place beyond suffering, a kind of peace where everything just existed. That moment was a glimpse of nirvana. It doesn't mean ignoring life's challenges. It's about changing how we see them. Deep down, we are already free, even if we sometimes forget. We often get tied to our stories, our desires, and our feelings. Nirvana isn't about getting rid of everything. It's about shedding what traps us. It's like a fire that burns bright but doesn't consume anything. It's the light that shines even without darkness. When you touch that state, even just for a moment, you realize you don't need anything to be complete. You already are complete. You're already at peace. But getting to nirvana isn't simple. It means learning to let go, not by forcing it, but by truly understanding that nothing outside can define you or fill you up. It takes observing your mind, recognizing its patterns, and letting go of that endless craving for more that keeps us stuck in life's cycle. A teacher once illustrated nirvana with this strong metaphor. Imagine holding a rope tightly, trying to control what's on the other end. Your hands get worn and hurt, yet you keep gripping it, fearing that letting go means losing something. But nirvana is about releasing that rope and realizing you never needed to hold on in the first place. I learned that nirvana isn't something to chase because it's not out there. It's what we remember when we stop clinging to what we're not. True freedom is about experiencing the world fully without being caught up in its ups and downs. It's recognizing that suffering, pleasure, joy, and pain are just fleeting moments and don't define who we are. Being grounded in reality while reaching for infinity, that's what it means. There's an ancient tale of a monk who found nirvana while walking through a busy market. He wasn't meditating in a quiet cave or practicing strict discipline. He was simply present, noticing the noise, the movement, and the life all around him. In that moment, he stopped fighting the chaos and saw the harmony within it. That story taught me that nirvana isn't just about quiet moments. It can be found in the middle of the noise, the activity, and life itself, as long as we learn to see it. Nirvana takes away our suffering because it helps us stop seeing ourselves in what causes that pain. It shows us that we aren't just our stories, our feelings, or the stuff we own. We are the awareness that watches everything from a calm place inside. When you feel that truth, even just for a brief moment, something shifts in you forever. If today feels heavy and those chains of samsara seem too tight, remember this: nirvana isn't a destination to reach. It's a state already within you. There's no need to look outside or struggle. All you need to do is let go, trust, and let your true self shine through. True freedom is not an end. It's a fresh start. It's a return to who you've always been, a deep peace, unbreakable freedom, and a connection to everything around you. When you take a moment to embrace this truth, you'll find there's no greater gift or purpose than remembering you are already whole. I once heard our teacher share a powerful metaphor. The lotus blooms beautifully even while growing in muddy water. Its roots dig deep, yet its flower reaches for the sky. That image stuck with me, reminding me that no matter how messy life gets, we can choose to live from a place of purity, truth, and connection. Coming back to the world is also about being humble. After basking in inner peace, it's easy to think we've outgrown everyday troubles. But that's just the ego trying to make us feel separate from reality. The real journey back is recognizing we're not above anyone else. Spiritual awakening doesn't push us away, it pulls us closer to humanity. I remember my own return after a time of quiet reflection. I had tasted silence, found still moments, and clarity had blossomed within me. But when I came back to daily life, the responsibilities, small talk, and endless demands felt overwhelming. At first, it seemed like I was losing the peace I had gained, like the world's noise was drowning it out. Eventually, I realized that silence had taught me how to listen, even amid the chaos. Returning to life doesn't mean giving up on your spiritual journey. It means fully living it every day. In every interaction and decision, there's a chance to embrace that path. Every moment can be a chance for meditation, prayer, or simply remembering who we truly are. There's a tale of a wise teacher. After years spent meditating in the mountains, he returned to his village. The villagers gathered, expecting deep wisdom and grand lessons. Instead, he started working in the fields, lending a hand with daily chores, and listening to anyone who approached him. When someone asked why he wasn't sharing great truths, he said, "My life is my teaching. Every little action is a chance to live the truth I've discovered." That story hit home for me. Returning to the world isn't some big task. It's a continuous act of being present and real. It's about finding stillness amid the chaos, letting the peace we've discovered light our path and help others find theirs. If you're feeling overwhelmed by life, as if the noise and demands are pulling you away from what truly matters, keep this in mind. Coming back to the world isn't an interruption in your spiritual journey. It's the peak of it. It's not about finding peace in isolation, but about being peaceful right where you are. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about acting with love and truth in this very moment. Returning to the world is an act of love for humanity. It makes sense that even after touching eternity, we still belong to this world. In that connection, through service, we find real fulfillment. There's no greater goal than remembering who we are and helping others do the same. The world doesn't need perfection, it needs authenticity. It doesn't ask for grand gestures, just small acts of love done with intention. When we grasp that idea, returning to the world becomes less of a burden and more of an opportunity. It's a chance to be a bridge between the earthly and the divine, to bring the light of silence into the heart of noise, to be a living expression of an everlasting truth. Selfless service is about letting go of the ego. It's the purest, deepest form of love. It's not a trade or an obligation. It's a heartfelt offering, asking for nothing in return. It reminds us that at our core, we are all connected, and in serving others, we also serve ourselves. I remember the first time I really understood what it meant to serve without selfish motives. I was helping someone through a tough time. At first, I wanted to ease their burden, but soon I realized I started to hope for something back. A thank you, a nod of recognition, a hint that my efforts were noticed. When that didn't happen, I felt frustrated. I wondered, why am I putting in all this work if no one appreciates it? That frustration held up a mirror to me, reflecting that I wasn't acting completely selflessly. True selfless service doesn't ask for rewards or validation. It springs from a deep connection with others, realizing that their struggles are ours too, and that their needs matter as much as our own. When we serve from that genuine place, the act itself becomes a reward. There's a wonderful joy in giving, in offering what we can without wanting anything back. A teacher once shared a simple metaphor about selfless service. The sun doesn't wait for gratitude to shine, and the rain doesn't expect thanks for nurturing the earth. They give just because that's who they are. That lesson made me see that real service isn't something we do. It's something that flows through us when we let go of our ego and connect with our true selves. In a world pushing us towards being individuals, serving reminds us that we're all connected. Our actions ripple out beyond ourselves. I once met a woman who devoted her life to caring for homeless children. I asked her how she found the strength to face such challenges every day. Her answer was simple: I don't do it for me. I do it because I can, because someone needs it. Her words stuck with me, showing me that service isn't just an obligation. It's an opportunity to make a difference, no matter how small. But serving without expecting anything back isn't always easy. Our ego keeps whispering, asking, "What's in it for me?" Yet every time we push past that voice, every time we act out of true generosity, something shifts inside us. We free ourselves from that need to control or receive, discovering a huge freedom in just giving. Selfless service is also about humility. It asks us to realize we're not superior to those we help. We're not here to solve their problems, but to be a channel for something bigger. It's natural that in giving we receive, even if it's not how we imagined. Remember, true greatness doesn't measure the impact of selfless service. It doesn't matter if what you do seems small or large. What counts is that you're doing it from the heart. It's not about how grand things seem. What truly matters is the love you put into them. It's not the big gestures that change the world, but those small, meaningful actions done with a genuine heart. Serving others isn't a sacrifice, it's a gift. It's about giving without losing anything. When you give of yourself, you tap into the deepest part of who you are. In that connection, you find a sense of peace and joy that nothing external can ever match. I remember a time in my life when my heart spoke with a clarity I'd never known. I was at a crossroads, facing a tough choice. My mind was filled with logic, suggesting a practical, safe option. But inside me, there was a soft voice saying, "This isn't your path." At first, I brushed it off. How could my heart know better than my mind? The more I tried to reason, the more uneasy I felt. Eventually, I stopped resisting and really listened, not just with my ears, but with my whole being. And when I did, I found my way forward. It was a feeling I couldn't put into words, but it was unmistakably right. The wisdom of the heart isn't loud. It doesn't compete with the endless chatter of the mind. Underneath that noise lies a calm stream, just waiting for us to notice. To hear it, we need to quiet our minds, not forcefully, but by allowing the noise to settle as we turn inward. We often mix up the wisdom of the heart with fleeting emotions, but they're different. Emotions can be unpredictable, shaped by fears and desires. In contrast, heart wisdom is steady. It emerges when we let go of what we think we know and open ourselves up to who we really are. A teacher once shared a metaphor that stuck with me. He said, "Your heart is like a still lake. When the wind stirs the water, the surface becomes chaotic and you can't see the bottom. But when the water is calm, everything is clear." This taught me that we don't need to chase or create heart wisdom. It's already within us. We just need to let the waters settle and allow the stillness to show us what has always been there. Heart wisdom also connects us to others in ways the mind can't. While the mind divides and judges, the heart sees beyond the surface and recognizes what truly binds us. Our shared humanity shines when we act from the heart. What we do not only helps us, it sends ripples out to everyone around us. I remember a time when this connection became crystal clear. A friend of mine was struggling, and I tried to help with advice and solutions. Nothing seemed to ease his pain, so I chose to just be there, to listen, no judgment, no need to fix things. That's when it shifted. I didn't say anything profound, but he felt seen, heard, and accepted. The wisdom of the heart doesn't need big gestures or fancy words. Its power is in being present, but listening to that heart takes courage. It might lead us down paths that seem illogical or unsafe. It asks us to trust, to let go of control, and to stay true to ourselves, even when we don't quite know where it's going. Yet, when we follow that nudge, we find something amazing. The heart is never wrong. Its way might not be easy, but it is always the truest. Imagine a traveler faced with a choice. One path is wide, straight, and bright. The other is narrow, winding, and disappears into a dark forest. He hesitates, but something inside nudges him to take the less obvious route. Along the way, he faces challenges but also finds unexpected beauty, meaningful moments, and lessons he would have missed on the easier path. That story reminds us, the wisdom of the heart isn't about seeking comfort, it's about seeking truth. If you're feeling stuck in your thoughts today like the answers are just out of reach, take a moment, place your hand over your heart, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what do I know beyond what I think? What is my heart telling me? The answer might not come right away or in words, but if you listen closely, you'll feel a direction, a certainty that needs no explanation. The wisdom of the heart isn't a puzzle to solve, it's a truth to live. It reminds us that beneath the mind's chaos and the world's distractions, there's an inner guide always there for us. When we act on that wisdom, our lives align with a deeper purpose, a truer path. The heart not only directs us toward what's best for ourselves, but also lights the way for others. Living from the heart gives us inner peace, and that peace reflects back to those around us. In that reflection, we all find connection. At our core, we all share the same light, the same truth, and that timeless wisdom that comes from the love within us. The spiritual journey is endless. It has no clear starting point or finish line. It's a flowing experience of learning, growing, and connecting. We keep pushing forward. We trip, we fall, but we never stop moving. Even when we feel lost, the path is still there, patiently waiting for us to recognize it again. It reminds us that no matter where we find ourselves, we're part of something vast and eternal. When we look back at our journey, we see the marks left by our choices, our fears, and those moments of clarity. But there's more to it. We can also sense a guiding force that's been with us, especially during our darkest days. Some call it spirit, love, or simply the truth. It isn't outside us, it's the essence of who we are. Our heart keeps reminding us that we belong to something bigger. When we trust this wisdom, we move not just toward our own freedom, but also become a light for others. A wise teacher once said, "The path isn't something you find, it's something you create with every step." That changed my perspective. We don't need all the answers or to see the end goal. All we need to do is take the next step, trusting that the journey will reveal itself as we go. The eternal nature of this journey teaches us something important. We're never alone. Our path weaves together every encounter and shared moment, reminding us of our deep connection with one another. It's not a straight line. There are twists, moments of stillness, and even steps backward that often teach us more than moving forward ever could. Each phase holds its own unique beauty and lessons just for that moment. The key is to stay present and embrace each step, even if we don't fully understand where it's taking us. This journey asks us to let go of our expectations, fears, and the urge to control everything. It invites us to trust that there's a greater purpose, even when we can't see it. Letting go isn't giving up. It's realizing we're not separate from the flow of life. By easing our grip, we become part of that flow, diving deeper into who we truly are. If the path feels wobbly today and the challenges seem overwhelming, just remember, you don't need to know it all to keep moving forward. Just take that next step. Every breath you take holds everything you need. Trust that each little step gets you closer to your truth. As I quietly reflect on this journey, I've found something simple. It's not just about reaching a destination. It's about remembering who we truly are as we move along. It's not about piling up answers. It's about shedding everything we aren't until only our purest essence shines through. And that essence, it's love. It's peace. It's the connection that ties us all together. The path we walk is endless because we are infinite. Beyond this life, beyond this body, the journey keeps going, carrying all the lessons, experiences, and light we gather along the way. There's no real end, just the realization that the path itself is the purpose. When we walk it with love, compassion, and an open heart, each step turns into a celebration of life, a way to express the eternity that lives within us.